Welcome back to These Guys Again, or TGA, a film podcast that comes to you once every week where we discuss, obviously, films and all things related. I am Craig. With me is Tom.
Hello.
Mark.
Ciao.
And on the sound, Irv.
I love how you stressed overly once every week.
You just need to know. I want you to know you're appreciated for what you do. All we do is talk. You bring our talking to the world.
What? True. Read out all Craig's rubbish.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just he cuts out a third of what I say.
It's a thankless job.
But before we go on to our main topics, we should go into the news with Mark.
The news with Mark.
We'll come up with a catchier title.
Oh.
News with Mark. I don't like that Mark part.
So last week, Mike Coulter announced the premiere date for Luke Cage of September the 30th. And then with the release of Daredevil Season 2, we got a very short trailer for it. But, you know, Luke's back, so...
Luke Cage and Final Fantasy 15 on the same day.
I don't care.
I'm just going to say Luke Cage is going to be the one.
I think it's going to be really good.
They've already been announcing the cast and stuff, and all that's promising.
And well, the whole Netflix series, they're all doing really well.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was also a teaser image released for Iron Fist as well, which is just as a sketch of Danny Rand. But I mean,
is in costume?
Yeah.
And how does the costume look? Because that is the hardest.
It's a sketch, but because it just looks like it's out of the comic books. But it's a realistic sketch, so. If they're doing it like that, it's just going to be like right out the comics.
It's going to be interesting, how they retweak his origin, or if they are going to do it because this has got such a big emphasis on New York and stuff. When it's
I'm pretty sure
go away for a bit.
I'm pretty sure he is going away for it. I think that's supposed to be mentioned in Luke Cage.
Okay,
yeah.
It's like the origins of Danny Rand are supposed to be coming into that.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So is it kind of going to be this? So do you think it's going to be the origins, or do you think it's going to be we're going to see him established as?
Yeah, see him established, and then he's going to
be the flashback up to this point kind of thing almost. Yeah.
So I
do
think
Arrow style.
Spent
5 years in an island.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to be Arrow
style.
style, and you've got the.
How to become something else. Something else.
Every episode we get another flashback,
God. Yeah.
building up to a flashback story.
But in Arrow, you got the Flash showing up before he was the Flash, so the character is established.
Yeah.
And then he gets his own series. So I wonder if it might be along those lines.
Yeah. It's going to be different. It's going to be interesting because they're in the comics. They're essentially like best friends. They're best friends, but they're one of them is very much grew up on the streets, and
then you got privilege,
and then you've got one who is he owns a corporation.
Yeah, Rand Industries. Yeah.
So it's going to be. It'll be interesting to see how they cross
the dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it could be to do with the whole experiment company and all that sort of thing that Luke got his origins with. So
I'd like if they tied it into something else that wasn't, just all that. But
all origin.
We shall see.
Kind of.
Yeah, we'll have to just wait and see.
But Daredevil would see it.
Harsh.
Season 2 is pretty good, though. Season 2 is pretty good.
The most exciting news of the week. Harrison Ford is back as Indiana Jones for the 5th film, directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by George Lucas. Yay!
Same screenwriters.
It's also got Crystal Skull co-writer David Cope will now be helming the whole script for this. Yay!
I'm so hoping in for Indiana Jones and the settlement of the mineral femur.
Indiana Jones and the hip replacement.
That's what I've always wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be. It's 2019. It's going to be released, so he's going to be 77, I think, when it's released, or he's going to be 79, but he's going to be old.
Do you know what they're going to do?
Kill him.
They're
Bring back Shia.
They're gonna make him wear green pantaloons and put him in front of a green screen, and we're gonna have it's just gonna be him doing upper body acting, he'll be pretending to run with just his upper body, and then they'll CG everything below the waist and put him on backdrops. It'll be so funny.
You laugh, but they did put CGI gophers all the way throughout the last one.
Yeah.
And the horrible bit where Shia LaBeouf was swinging with monkeys.
Yeah. The best part of that, though, is pantaloons. You just said pantaloons.
I wanted to say pantaloons.
In 2016, Craig's bringing it back.
What are we using? Oh, we're using the green screen pantaloons. I bet it's a technical term. You just aren't in the know. I work in housing, but I know this.
To be fair, though, Shia wasn't
GSP, green screen pantaloons.
Shia wasn't the worst thing about Crystal Skull. So
Nah.
I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with Crystal Skull.
Again, I'm not a big Indy fan, but I just thought it was like every other Indiana Jones film.
It clearly wasn't, though. clearly wasn't.
There's more CG, but it's when people said, but it's so unrealistic. And I went, what in Indiana Jones is realistic?
All of it.
Even the archaeologist profession in this is not realistic.
What do you do? I steal stuff. Old stuff.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but it doesn't
Hilarious.
doesn't sound like a good idea on paper. Got a couple of trailers as well. Trailer for Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Yeah.
Craig, you're fairly excited by this, so
I'm
I'll let
really
you.
excited about this because I love Hot Rod so much. And it's Lonely Island with Judd Apatow producing it. And it's got a budget behind it by the looks of it as well, as you'd expect. But it's also... I'm surprised you're not more into it, considering you were really...
I'm
you were really
extremely
into a trailer for Never Say Never when it was announced.
It was so stupid. It was hilarious.
And but this is kind of a jab. I think this is a jab at that and the general Popstar films that came out. You know, like with Katy Perry had one, Justin Bieber had one, these sort of things.
Yeah.
It's also kind of works because Lonely Island's doing their own musical stuff as well. So
and it's their own ridiculous type of humor.
Yeah,
like I'm not very much I'm not hugely into like hammy sort of humor, but the Lonely Island do it so well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to this. I just hope we don't get a trailer that has too many jokes to release.
Yeah.
But it's really not far. Well, when does it get released here, or does it have a release here yet? Because it
I'm
says
not sure.
June 23rd or something like that.
I don't know what the UK release is, but
because if that's worldwide, that'd be great. But it's right now you don't know if it's going to be international or if it's going to be America. And then here, me and Tom were talking about this with is it Zootopia or Zootropolis here?
Zootropolis here, Zootopia in America.
Yeah,
international titles, man.
but that's come. I didn't even know that was out yet. I thought it was coming out in America first, like most Disney films.
Yeah.
And it's here, and I didn't even know. Like it's so I don't know if you can trust release dates anymore.
It's so confusing because also like with Cloverfield Lane, it's like coming up 10th. It's like 16th birthday, so I'm like
Yeah, I know.
All it's got is the film is scheduled to be released on June 3rd, 2016. Doesn't say
specifically.
It's specific, so it could be worldwide.
It's just so hard to tell now. You just don't know. But that's the thing that surprised me because usually like you said, it's out now. You've seen it, but Disney usually delay our release.
Yeah.
And that's why I was kind of surprised by it.
Yeah.
Did Hot Rod get a cinematic release in the UK?
I don't know if it ever did. I don't, because it didn't do that well.
Because I'm wondering if this will, because I don't know. I know the Lonely Island are popular, but I don't know how popular they are over here because it's all Saturday Night Live stuff. So
But Andy Samberg is quite a big name now.
With Brooklyn Nine-Nine and things that are making their way over here.
Yeah.
But
Is it
If we see a trailer in the cinema, we know we're getting it.
yeah, if we see a trailer in the cinema,
Yeah.
but I mean, there was the way the trailer was released wasn't. Like it didn't crop up on YouTube for a long time. It was just through various news outlets. It was on like Daily Motion and stuff.
And again, it's not a large window till release.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even know this was coming out until I saw the trailer.
So maybe just a domestic release.
Yeah, it might only be a US release, and then maybe a few theaters over here will show it. But
you might only have to get the steelbook.
Oh no! I'll find a way.
Shame.
So that's an interesting looking trailer. It's a nice looking film. It's going to be fun. There's a not so nice trailer we got as well for Seth Rogen's animated film.
It's pretty much everyone who was involved in This Is the End.
Yeah.
Because even like David Krumholtz and stuff like that are in it.
It's the whole the new frat pack, like all the Apatow folk.
Yeah.
Sausage Party. The animated film starts out looking.
It's so twisted because of how animated, like because of the animated style. It just throws you off.
Yeah, and it starts off like a Pixar film.
Exactly. Well, it's got that kind of Pixar style animation, and it seems a bit weird when I went into this cold not knowing what it actually was.
Same here. Yeah, same here.
It starts out very happy and friendly. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Is that the only thing that food wants is to come home with us? So. Like,
you can see it's going somewhere, but you just
it takes a while, but it took me a while before I'm like, okay, this isn't what I think it is. You know, you kind of assumed it's got Seth Rogen like attached to it, but
I just thought it was only going to be like hot dog dick bun jokes. I was like, and it's like
genocide.
mass murder.
Yeah.
Starts out with flaying an Irish potato.
Yeah.
I know, it's so sad. And then the children and like,
Yeah, the baby carrots.
do you notice how they've used it?
And also when it's the flip between, like their perception.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
perception's great.
But that's the thing. It's really horrifying because they're getting away with stuff. If it was done to people, would be horrifying. But instead, they're giving them these things that it happens to personality.
Yeah.
That's the whole point
What
of
if
it.
a child sees this?
Well, that's the
They
thing.
will starve to death.
No, it's the whole Deadpool thing again that parents aren't going to
Take their kids to see this.
No. Parents will take their kids to see this, and then they'll complain. Either complain that the kids can't go and see it, or they'll complain that why did you let my child see this?
Yeah.
And they won't care that it's an
fault.
R-rated film or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the trailer, watch it and enjoy it.
Bloody hilarious. It really was funny.
It's just brutal.
Yeah.
though. It's so brutal, but it looks it looks funny, and I'm glad you don't get.
Yeah.
It's all build up in the trailer to stuff that's not going to ruin the humor. It's all just kind of it's just that sort of last third of it where you see things happening, but it's in such quick succession. It doesn't ruin anything from the film. We're not really getting many jokes.
Well, it gives you
Other than-
enough, doesn't it, to kind of
It gives you the
go,
premise.
I
Yeah.
want to see this film.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what a trailer should do. There'll be a trailer out for people who don't watch movies sooner or later.
Yeah.
It gives you a plot.
Oh, you mean the summary trailer? I never thought of it as the one that is like the one for people who.
And the first 10 seconds of the credits, then credits. Whoa.
Yeah, but that's what they always do now. There's like 3 trailers for every movie, isn't there?
The Genesis trailer.
Yeah. The trailer that explains that this film is obviously a laugh and about mass murder of vegetables and sausages.
I can't wait to see a day in the life of a pack of sausages.
I know.
So good.
I know.
I just remembered that because I mentioned Genesis. There's now more bad Terminator films than there are good ones.
Yeah, that's
How
heartbreaking.
sad is that?
Yeah.
What's
I don't
general
hate
consensus?
Salvation.
It's
I like
not
Salvation.
Genesis. It's Gen Y Sciences.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
We're reviewing Terminator Gen Y Sciences.
Yeah, so Salvation has its moments, but a lot of it is a lot of the ideas behind it are just wrong.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one.
You're not
Gen Y Science.
Gen Y Sciences.
watch the first and second film and
Stop.
Oh
No. Go to Universal Studios and see the 3D Terminator 2.5 thing because that's really good.
Ooh, that does.
and then stop.
And then stop.
Just
Or
make, the
what-
most important part.
Stop.
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 So watch the bonus delete scene for hi, I'm John Candy. What's the voice? We can fix it.
The Terminator 3 extra scene. That's
So
amazing.
good.
That's so good. Yeah.
Oh look, it's me. Best thing ever.
Funny.
Very briefly, interesting. Batman vs Superman has reportedly posted advanced US sales of $30 million, which aims for a global opening weekend in the region of $300 to $350 million, and such figures would put it in the top 15 openings of all time.
Wow.
If the film is good and that stays on track, then it should make well over $1 billion.
Wednesday night.
Which you expect of the premise. So I could take it that is a no-brainer that next week will be.
Yes, Batman vs Superman.
And this is a
Are
starting.
you going to the
Midnight showing.
the double bill?
Not the double bill, no, just the midnight showing.
Just the midnight showing.
I am gonna wait till Friday because I can't be tired for work. Rock and roll, guys.
Live the dream, Craig.
I know
Live the dream.
exactly.
Friday. Great to see Batman vs Superman.
On Friday, but
Please don't be crap.
This is us. This is us entering what we've been waiting for
For
in
2
our
years.
shallow brains blockbuster season, where every week is a balls to the wall film that won't make us feel anything other than awe.
Yeah.
Literally awesome.
Emotion doesn't matter. Depth, none. Excitement, all of it. Blockbuster season, which now seems to start, from what we can tell, spring, March, and ends December, which is good. It's
and
expanding.
then you get Oscar season.
I can't wait till Oscar season is
I love
three.
it. Yeah,
it's
just
like 3
half a
days.
day. And it's gone.
Quickly, we gotta get the Oscar films out. Nominated. Done.
10 films released in one day.
What's out tomorrow? Deadpool v Man. Just go
V man.
with all the strength of 2 men.
co-starring Spider-Man man.
Quickly, we have to produce this one. They're only going to be allowed to produce the film that morning.
That'd be amazing if they could get like the rights to that. Like, you know, they struggled not to get the rights to anyone, so they get Spider-Man man. Batman man.
No, it'll just be Spider-Man. There'll be 2 N's on the end.
Or a G. Spider-Man.
What's that? Why does the I look weird? Oh, well, you see, Spider-Man. The rights to Spider-Man was taken, but not SP/Derman.
No. SPY.
Maybe if we flip some letters and they just come up with what's that? Oh, it's Spider-Man's name in Wingdings.
Well, we came up with Man Spider.
Yeah, Man Spider.
Yeah.
No, or Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, that was it. Spider-Man. Spider-Man, yeah.
It's a spider that through radiation has turned into a man.
No. Sorry. It was a spider who was bitten by a radioactive man.
And he's scared of like newspapers and baths.
Yeah.
Every time someone raises his face, like,
Yeah.
Do you bath? I shower.
As a massive Spider-Man fan, that's the funniest thing I've heard in a while.
he just knits excessively.
Just wait till Craig draws it.
It's gonna look horrifying.
Spider-Man being bitten by a radioactive man.
I don't know how this works. It'll have to be the guy's about to bite a burger that a spider's on his tooth just touches it. It's like It's like, oh, no. Transformation will be
takes
rough.
off the tip of one of its legs.
Oh,
Moving on.
it's gold.
Even though it was kind of hinted at a while ago, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy have confirmed they will reunite for the animated film The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
Decent.
This is interesting one because usually the DC animated, like, as much as like me and Irv particularly have been huge fans of the DC animated films when we live together and we watch them all the time. Yeah, but everyone's kind of if you don't pay attention to the DC animated film slate, you should, because
It's good.
it's basically Marvel's film slate is exactly the same as DC's animated sort of film slate, but
Yeah.
they've both been not able to get the other one right for years.
Yeah.
And the DC animated films, usually what happens is they do like 3 a year and they have their own kind of system to them, but it's usually you only get about 6 months notice, really. Like the way they've always done
this
it
is happening. Oh, okay.
you have an announcement at a convention,
Yeah.
then you have a trailer or a making of trailer, and then it comes out. And that's
Also, I'm pretty sure Bruce Timm's coming back for this one as well, isn't he?
and Bruce Timm's dipped in and out.
He's
of them.
been wanting to do this for
Yeah.
years.
But they've always kind of gone. That's the way they've always gone. This is the first one that's been it's been announced for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing it develop like a film would.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's kind of not had this straight to video treatment.
Yeah.
But as well as that, because of how the
The
dark
universe has been getting harder.
as well as how the Dark Knight return. What was it? Well, it was Dark Knight Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
So good.
When they did the animated ones of those, which you should again watch, when they did those and how brutal those were, that's kind of opened
Paves
the doors
the
for
way.
this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they
Yeah,
did,
because this
they did
is
so
pretty
well.
brutal as well.
I can see this getting a limited cinema release, like the same way that, like, remember Mask of the
Phantasm,
Phantasm,
Yeah.
because that had a cinematic release, so I could
Yeah.
see this doing the same thing.
Yeah, especially because it will be coming on the heels of Batman vs Superman and leading up to Suicide Squad
Yeah.
as well. I mean, there's a lot of DC promotion on
It's
the go.
essentially, it could just be a promotional thing. And we've said before, like, remember me and you were watching something, we said it was me, you, and me, Tom, and Jamie were watching a couple of the animated ones, and we said you would watch some of these in a cinema.
I would happily go and watch the Red Hood in the cinema.
Yeah.
So good.
Like things like Red Hood, or even a couple of the Justice League ones, and like you said, if you saw both parts of Dark Knight,
a double bill of that.
back to back would be excellent.
Yeah, that'd be
But
incredible.
and it would work film length.
Yeah.
So this could be a chance to do that. And like you
And
said,
also, like,
promotional reasons, it
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, they are doing that. They've sort of they've done like their new 52 thing where they've got this shared universe, but they are still doing standalone stuff. And if they do more of this,
the way it works is every year they generally release 3 films,
Yeah.
and they release 2 in universe, which they've done since the new 52.
yeah,
And then they do their standalone.
yeah, because Gods and Monsters is ace.
Yeah,
Love
because
that.
which we did not expect to be good.
Yeah,
By the look
yeah.
of it, it looks like a toy advert.
Yeah, yeah.
But and this year's Killing Joke will be their out of continuity one.
Yeah.
And their in continuity is the
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood, and which is a Bat Family one with who will get the cowl, like when
the
Batman vanishes.
Justice League versus Titans.
Justice League versus Titans, which looks interesting as well.
Yeah.
Does that have Red Hood?
I don't know.
I don't know if that one does, because there is no. I don't think there's a Red Hood in the new universe in the way they've done it. Because is he in Bad Blood? I don't think he actually exists in it.
Don't know.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that.
You know the best
I
thing.
love Crazy Jason.
You know the best thing about the DC animated universe is though
What?
Nathan Fillion.
Oh, Nathan Fillion
Green Lantern.
as Green Lantern. He's not now though. Didn't they
Is
take
he
him
not?
off of it?
They've recast them for the new stuff.
Oh, they've recast
Yeah,
for the new
yeah.
stuff. Originally, it was a different
Oh.
guy, and they made him way too funny, and it didn't work because it wasn't Nathan
Yeah,
Fillion.
yeah.
When you give Nathan Fillion jokes to a not Nathan Fillion, it doesn't work.
Anything Nathan Fillion touches turns to gold.
Yeah.
And he was also Steve Trevor as well. In Wonder Woman.
He was Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Also a very brutal animated film. There's way too
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
neck breaks in that
Yeah,
film.
it's very true.
Okay.
Holds me to this day.
So the Killing Joke should be good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a nice happy DC thing for a change.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting
Lovely, happy
how
to do.
they handle some of the scenes.
So
Yeah.
the animation looks really interesting with the love tunnel and stuff. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The animation looks really cool. Like it looks.
Yeah.
Well, they always change their animation style to almost kind of mimic or pay
comics, yeah.
pay
Comics,
tribute
yeah.
to the actual comic. Hence
Yeah,
why
'cause
some people
that's why
hated.
the Dark Knight.
Year one.
What was the one people hated? Superman versus the
The Elite.
The Elite, yeah.
Yeah, God,
And
that's
people hated it because it had Saturday morning giant chin Superman, but it had an
Oh, I
amazing
love
story.
that.
Had an
Yeah, yeah.
amazing
The
story.
one with
Manchester Gold.
Black.
Can I tell
Oh,
a funny
Manchester
story
Gold,
here?
yeah.
Because Tom and me were watching it, and there's a character called Manchester Black, and Manchester
He's
Black
so good.
has a stereotypical, like, English accent. It's so cringy. And Tom was like, could they not have just got a guy from an English guy to do this voice? It's so cringy. And Tom was just cringing all the way through. And I looked up and was like, Tom, he's from Manchester.
Yeah, he was from Manchester. Yeah.
Amazing.
But I think it's just,
Sorry, but my statement
Yeah,
still
it'll be-
stands. It's a horrible accent.
It'll be like Brave. They'll have to ham it up.
Superman, why don't you kill people? Oh, no, it's Liverpool doing, but
Again,
Hey, it's probably just as bad.
Liver pudding.
it's like it's like Brave syndrome. If you could change your fate, would you?
I know it's a shame. That's like, was it Kevin McDonald?
Yeah.
so bad.
And they just like really. It's like
But Mum, I want to choose my own destiny.
nailed it. It's
But
just,
you're a bear.
it's just like it's like just in case they don't know, it's Scottish. And it's set in Scotland.
It's
and then-
Scottish.
and it's like you just really need to let them know.
Didn't they have to release it in the cinema in America with subtitles?
That can't be true.
I think it is.
They did it maybe for Kevin McKidd's character, who's Doric.
Yeah.
You know, go to just like keep her Ken, and they were like,
Ken.
what?
But that's the whole joke of his. He says something and
Yeah.
he goes, Ken.
I genuinely think it had subtitles in America.
That's mental.
It's hilarious.
But it's so stereotypically. I know, but it also addresses
Craig was the definitive Scottish accent.
it also addresses our distinct bear problem that apparently we
Yeah.
Mum, you're a bear.
bears like anything. Why did they pick bears?
This isn't Canada.
Such a bizarre story as well.
What's gonna happen? A bear. That's what they need.
Bears and gingers. Scotland.
And Celtic stones.
Oh no.
I have to say, this episode has had our most asides, but I'm loving all of these asides.
And finally, bringing the tone down slightly, I saw a really interesting trailer the other day for a biopic about Van Gogh called Loving Vincent, but it is a hand-painted film, first of its kind. Every frame is an oil painting, a full oil painting, created by over 100 artists who are fluent in Van Gogh's style, and it's still ongoing and they're still recruiting artists to finish it, but it
That
is...
sounds amazing.
It's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I'll show you the trailer afterwards, and we'll link the trailer into it as well.
That
But
sounds like a mental undertaking.
yeah, it's been going for years. And when you look at it, you think, oh, okay, this could be computer done or whatever. It could be rendered, but no, that you see it being made. It's like a factory floor of like artists with these huge canvases doing scenes. So it's like these animated scenes and oil paintings. It's unreal.
So does it look a bit like stop frame? Or?
No, it's fluid animation. It's like every frame is
a painting.
That's
insane.
And you've got 72 frames or something.
So it's actually going to have like 72 frames of individual.
Yes.
Whoa.
That is,
Thousands
like I said,
and
that's
thousands
a
and thousands of
mental
paintings.
undertaking.
It's. I think I'm not. I haven't looked into it that much. But I think it's going to be a silent short film.
Yeah.
Looking at just. But
Fair enough. I was thinking something like that, feature length. I was like,
Imagine a 2-hour movie like that.
oh god, no! It's
I think
conveying.
people would die painting it.
It's a
Yeah,
short. It's a short biopic.
You
looking
give your
at,
life to the
Yeah.
film.
looking at Van Gogh's life and mysterious death.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it kind of strikes me as it's going to be a silent film, but it might not be.
yeah.
It's interesting.
So just when you're just saying like old artist, I just immediately jump to that angry internet vid. You know, just when you just wear away your arms.
Yeah.
But that sounds amazing.
It does. It look
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
it takes place. It goes through his life.
Yeah.
The art style changes as it moves forward.
Would also be as he gets better,
Yeah,
more tuned.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like all these artists are fluent in his style, and they're still recruiting artists to finish it, and it really does look
That's
amazing.
mental. Yeah.
So
That is insane.
I cannot wait to actually see it. It's the first film that's going to be made like this.
Yeah.
it's-
Trend setting.
Yeah.
It's mental.
I do believe that's the end of the news.
End of the news.
Moving on to our next segment. Craig, you watch Jackie Brown?
I haven't watched Jackie Brown.
Moving on to our next segment.
Oh, so did you like Zootropolis?
Oh yeah. So I saw a different film to everybody else.
Just to be different.
I obviously got the wrong movie. Sorry.
I'm sure it was 10 Zootropolis.
Zootropolis Lane. Anyway, yeah. So the Disney film that you guys were talking about, I went to see it and actually really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I thought it was going to be complete rubbish.
Spoiler warning.
Give us a rough premise of it first, for people who don't really know.
It's not what I thought it was going to be. I was reading online that originally the film basically stars two main characters, like most Disney films. You've got a female rabbit and a fox, male fox, and the fox is heavily based on the Robin Hood fox from back in the day, so he looks just like him.
Yeah.
That's true. I never noticed that, but it's so similar. Yeah.
And it's actually kind of a detective movie, like a buddy cop movie. So it's got, I didn't expect that, but I read that originally the film was. I think this is probably one of the reasons for its change of name, maybe. That originally it focused on Nick Wilde, who's the fox.
Yeah.
And then the rabbit, who's called Judy Hopps.
The fox is Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. It's the person from Once Upon a Time who plays Snow White. Jennifer Goodwin does the voice of the rabbit.
The voices are excellent, but originally it focused on the fox, and obviously the rabbit was kind of the secondary character.
Yeah.
But early screenings of it, they said that they found it difficult to connect with Nick Wilde as a main character, so they actually changed the storyline. Changed it so that the rabbit's the main character, and I think it works really, really well for that. Because obviously Nick Wilde's kind of obviously the classic lovable rogue, and it works really well for him being like the secondary character, because I think the film would be too samey. But yeah, it's this buddy cop comedy, and it's actually really, really funny. The basic premise is that you live in there's this world where animals have evolved like humans, but they're all mammals. There's no birds or lizards or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I came out the film and I was like, there are no birds in that, or like snakes or anything. But yeah, it's all
Nothing that would be a predator to them.
So
That's the thing.
it's all mammals.
It's all mammals. So basically, the whole idea is that thousands of years ago, animals used to hunt each other and all this sort of stuff. But now they've evolved and they all live together in harmony and everything. But the Judy Hopps' character, there's never been a rabbit police officer because they're so small and like weedy. So basically you've got
I know her pain.
So the predators kind of, even though they live in harmony, the predators are kind of like meant to be like the bullies. Sort of thing, but it's not as black and white as that.
This is like Tailspin.
I've never seen Tailspin.
Where Shere Khan was like the president of the corporation.
Yeah. But no, it's like, so anyway, that's kind of the way it works. So they all take the mick out of her, but she's actually a great police officer, so it's kind of like Hot Fuzz in that way. And obviously Nick Wilde plays this. He's like a con artist sort of thing, and it is very funny. It is very funny. And so they get brought into this case together, and they have to discover what's going on. And all these predators, some of the predators, are starting to go like feral again and starting to kill. And there's this big conspiracy, and it's actually it's just really well told. And each part of the city has a different district. So you've got Tundra Town, which is like where all the polar bears live, and it's all snowy and icy. You've got like the Rainforest District. And then what's the other one you've got? And you've got like the Sahara District, where you've got this. But it's really clever what they do with the animals, because you've got a bit where you see her coming into the city on a train, and there's loads of like camels but like running in like jogging gear on like hind legs. And there's like this hilarious little thing like the hamsters. There's like a whole district of the city that's made for small rodents, and it's tiny.
Oh, right,
it's a tiny little town with tiny little trains and stuff, and it's absolutely hilarious. And there's a really funny bit where they go to, obviously they're going to these different parts to try and sort of crack the case, and they go to these different like sort of hangouts of these gangs and stuff. And one of them is they go to this like hippie club, and it's a really clever thing because it's a nudist colony. Right, so all the animals all wear clothes. But in this one, the animals in this whole place, the animals are all naked. So obviously, to us viewers, it's nothing. But when you think about it, she walks in. There's an elephant doing like the splits. Right,
this is on the trailer. It's on the newest trailer.
Doing like the splits, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And then turns around, like shows her ass and stuff, and it's just really hilarious because they get away with it because of what it is. When you think about it,
it's the same way that Sausage Party works because it's like almost dehumanizing it.
But there's a bit where they go and. But what they do with the animals is very, very funny. There's a few like sort of archetypes and stuff, but they generally do it very well. But one of the funniest things I've ever seen for a long time actually is the scene with the sloths. Don't know if you've seen it in the trailer.
I only saw the first trailer like last year. Or whatever it was.
I think I nearly wet myself. I thought it was so funny. But basically, they go to the DMV. And they're all sloths.
It's in the trailer.
It's literally one of the funniest things I've ever seen because he tells him a joke, and he goes, "Oh, it's just like, hi, Nick, nice to meet you." And there's a bit where Nick tells him a joke, and he goes, and you see him, he's just sort of going, and he just goes. Like just the biggest smile, and I just could not contain myself. It's hilarious. And then he turns around to his friend who's a sloth and goes, "Hey," and he starts telling the joke to her, and I was just like, "Oh my god, it was so funny! It was so funny." But no, it really was very, very good. The animation is excellent. Really good. And all the
Disney
voices
have always been stepping up recently.
All the voices are brilliant. I really thought it was really good. So it's not really been getting a lot of advertising right now, which is a shame.
It's the same thing as the Good Dinosaur again. It's just kind of appeared.
The only thing we got was like the turn off your phones thing.
But it's not been. They've not been going all out. It seems like if it's not a princess story now, like one of their big princess ones, Disney aren't pushing it as much.
Invested,
which is a shame because, like you said, if it's a good film, why not? Like, it's not Chicken Little again. Just go for it. You know?
No, it feels like quite a different. It almost doesn't feel like a Disney film. Because it is a very they could hit a lot of the same beats, but it kind of goes in a different way, and it's a different type of movie. And I really enjoy it. So I'd recommend it to. Like especially anyone. I think Steph really like it as well, and I think everyone would really enjoy it. There's no way you can't enjoy this film. You'll come out of it with a smile on your face and think that was damn clever. That was clever. So
it's also good because it also ties into the Disney DreamWorks thing. So you've got that coming out, and then you've also got the DreamWorks Pets thing.
That looks hilarious.
That does look good.
Secret Life of Pets.
Secret Life of Pets.
DreamWorks are very hit or miss with their stuff right now.
Like
they have some really interesting looking animations, then they have some really off ones.
But no, I'd recommend it. It's a shame that it's not got more.
More advertising on release.
It is. It's very funny.
Hopefully with word of mouth though.
So I also try to think of like Disney's recent animation stuff. What maybe compared to like a Wreck-It Ralph or it's something that's for everyone.
There's also a lot of little pop culture references as well. There's one where there's a guy who's all the animals. It's really funny with the way they put these animals in different situations, so you can kind of relate to them. It's funny. And there's one where there's a guy making like sort of drugs. And I was just waiting for a Breaking Bad reference, and then his two mates are called Walter and Jesse. So good. Anyway, it's good. It's a good movie. I recommend it.
Brilliant.
Where would you give it on the scale? Are we giving it the scale?
What was it on your underwhelmed, whelmed, or overwhelmed?
I'd say, given the fact I didn't expect much of it, I'd say I was overwhelmed because I did laugh a lot. I did laugh a lot. I didn't expect to. Like I said, the bit with the sloths is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Like genuinely funny.
It's good though because a lot of things like you watch though and it's supposed to be funny and there's no stand-up things or stuff that's even just describing it sounds genius.
The sloth thing I just didn't expect.
And you said you saw it in the trailer, so you expected to agree.
I've not seen the trailer.
I haven't
seen it at all. But then they even bring the sloths back again, like for a little bit at the end, and it's so funny when you see them every time. It's like But the thing is, I hope if the film does quite well, I hope they don't like milk some of the characters because I think the sloths.
Disney Infinity.
I think one of the sloths are some of the best characters.
New minions or something.
Exactly. Because you know how like the penguins of Madagascar were probably one of the best bits. and then they had their own
spin-off
film.
movie.
They've kind of died to death now. I hope they don't do that with anyone from this, because it's a good movie.
It's being part of an ensemble cast. There's
ways they can make a sequel or possibly a trilogy out of this, and it would be really interesting to see what they do.
So before we move on to our next thing, talking about Cloverfield, it's worth saying that this is the earliest we've released an episode discussing a film in a while. It's not been like a week later. And talking about Cloverfield, to actually get a good discussion, there's going to be spoilers from the start. So and the best way to see this film is to go in completely cold. So if you haven't seen it, stop listening.
We will obviously start with like how we thought it looked and things like that, but we're going to go into spoiler territory pretty quick.
It's going to be difficult to not mention, so there's no point.
It's key to how it's written and how it's put together. The whole thing about Cloverfield is how secretive the whole thing is.
Exactly.
So we have to go into topics to do with it.
So on that note, we'll have to say goodbye to Tom.
Yep, because I haven't seen it yet.
We're firing you out of the film podcast canon.
Into space.
Will there be a net? We'll find out next week. Okay, well, we better get into our main topic and the film that us three now, that Tom has left, have seen this week.
Bye, Tom.
Which is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
Part of the Cloverfield franchise. Which,
blood relative.
Yeah, it's described as a blood relative. It doesn't take place in the same universe, but the idea behind these films, or they share thematic links. Although there is already talk about doing a direct sequel or in another thematically linked film. Yeah.
Well, so J.J. Abrams' idea behind the Cloverfield name is basically it's a film that comes out of nowhere. So because the teaser stuff for Cloverfield, it kind of looked like it was going to be Godzilla, and you had no idea what was going on, what it was,
and the actors didn't.
So good.
And the actors didn't either for the original trailer.
But I mean, so the idea was you're not going to know what it is. It's just going to come out of nowhere, and when it did, it was great, because so few films these days have. Like you go in as blind as you did with Cloverfield, to an extent with this, and the same with this. I mean,
you can't spoil yourself.
2 months ago, I didn't even know about this film. I mean, it was a project. I mean, it was originally titled The Cellar, and then it was rewritten and adapted to be brought into the, as you say, the Cloverfield lore, as it were. But its production name was Valencia, which it was just a pet project that no one really knew anything about. And then all of a sudden, after the fear of Star Wars had died down, J.J. Abrams was like,
got something else.
Got another film coming out, Cloverfield Lane, 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's just came out of nowhere. And it's all the better for it.
Well, that's like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who stars in this film, obviously. She said herself that she wasn't nervous about this film coming out or doing this film or anything. It was the fact that nothing was being marketed. She said it was a month. Nothing happened, or there was nothing really to do with it until a month and a half before release. Which she said just made her very nervous about the whole thing, because obviously she wanted it to do well. She was proud of what she'd done in the film, and she should be a very good job in the film, because it's a film with primarily only 3 actresses in the whole thing,
and Bradley Cooper as Ben.
Really?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper's her ex's voice on the phone at the start.
Really? That's excellent. I like that. It's kind of like Hard Candy, where you have two actors, and then there's just little cameo pieces here and there, which works quite well. And this film very much does that. But no, like as you've mentioned before, we're going to be going into spoiler territory with this whole thing. So just in case, so everyone has plenty of warning going into this, just to be sure. This
film is so much better for going in not knowing what's happening or what the characters are doing.
And also, don't watch the trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer, don't watch the trailer.
Just go see it.
Blind.
But that's the thing as well. Like the release of the film has given you that as much as it can allow without making its film fail.
That's my point. That's the whole idea behind what J.J. Abrams is doing, and so far it's worked.
And it's already, you mentioned it's budgetable, considering its budget, the profit it's made on. Yeah. So it's already made double its budget at least. It's mental. But first, before we go into the proper spoilery details, how did you guys feel it looked as far as the filming?
Gorgeous.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know that it's the director's Dan Trachtenberg?
His first feature film.
He took a lot. He said himself, we weren't doing found footage the same way that the first film was, but he wanted to have it be very involved and feel you be as involved with these characters as part of the group as you were in the original. And he looked at
the wall stuff.
He looked at Naughty Dog games. He looked at Uncharted and things along those sort of lines. And he said because that is a thing where you're not the main character, you're almost following him, but you never feel detached. And so they looked at the way action scenes or scenes in that were filmed, and he said that's where my inspiration for how I would film this came from, and it works really well with that. I think
he did a short film based on Portal, the game.
I remember. Yeah, this was a while.
Yeah, back. 2011.
Yeah,
but there was a short film just following the idea of the Portal game, which is really interesting. Really good.
I remember seeing that pop up in a few places.
Yeah.
How did you feel, particularly, Irv, how did you feel about the score to this film? Because it's got a very strong score.
It's Barry McCreary who does the Walking Dead music. But yeah, especially like how that really sets the tone for like the opening.
Yeah, the intro. Yeah.
There's no sound. Well, there's barely any sound, but it's pretty much all music and has a really psycho feel.
Yeah.
You find that?
Yeah.
I had a couple of issues with it at points. Not from the way, like, the score...
with the music.
Yeah. The score is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But...
Do you think sometimes it's a bit, like, on the nose, maybe?
Yeah. The way I felt was the style of the film... Like, we're going to talk about this film. Essentially, it's in 3 acts. And the third act is a very different sort of style.
Yeah.
And as well as that, the third act has been the sticking point for this film with a lot of people, which obviously we'll get to. But... Yeah. The opening works really well because it adds this drama to, like you said, there's no speaking. It's very silent for a long time, and that adds this, like you said, psycho. I never thought of that, but that is a great point. Yeah. It really does give you that kind of intense feeling.
The whole style of the film is very Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
Well, the first, like you say, the first 2 acts, I suppose.
Yeah, and then it fits in perfectly with the end as well, where things are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the middle of this film is a psychological thriller, and the mentality I have in a psychological thriller is, and it's just what I'm used to, is that everything's quiet, and you're paying as much
focusing
attention
on little details.
You're paying, everything's a puzzle to an equation you've got to solve at the end. That's the way. Whenever someone says, everything someone says has a reason behind it, so you're paying attention to every example someone does or everything, because that will come into play. It's all part of this jigsaw that will eventually come into play in solving the problem, and having that really strong, obviously it fades out at points, but for a long portion of the first part of the film, it's really
a bit on the nose.
It feels like, it's like if there was a massive score in Room, it would feel really odd.
Yeah.
And it felt like that to me at points. But it does blend in.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's just something that I thought was a bit
I think
off.
it's maybe like at some point, like when she like looks at the band and then you get the dun, and it's like, we got it.
It's not quite the Inception.
Yeah.
It's just leading up to like the intro leading up to being slammed by the car.
Yeah.
Then the credits, like, there's all that noise, and then it's silence when you get the credits.
The way the credits came in, I loved.
Fantastic.
It was
That's what Mark was like, it's so sexy, and I was like, I know.
But I don't know what it is. Maybe it is like a Hitchcock thing, but even the way the titles come on and the way like the lines come off, it feels like a throwback of some kind. I just thought to myself, I was like, it feels very like one of these old sort of.
I love the graphic style to that. The intro and those credits were one of my favorite things about it. The way they looked, and I've been a fan of the.
It's just that heavy accentation, that's it.
And I've been a fan of the poster and the logo for a long time. That the way it's done, it's really neat.
Minimal
and tying into the idea of it being a bunker in the hatch.
I say long time in terms of this being advertised.
Well, I suppose.
Especially when you only get like 2 posters or something like that. When you really trim it down.
But the artwork has been brilliant, and then the actual production in the film it's just fantastic.
Camera work as well was exceptional. One of the standout shots was when she. You got obvious shots, like obviously in the vents and things like that. You can only do limited amount of shots.
Mark was like hyperventilating at that part.
He
was like, no.
That was really uncomfortable.
My girlfriend made me put like just at the top of her chest, and her heart rate was insane. And like palm sweat, everything. She was just like, it was so tense.
Knees heavy?
What?
Knees heavy? Palm sweat. Mom spaghetti.
Oh yeah, mom spaghetti. But one of the shots I really liked was when she makes essentially a steak out of not a food steak.
Out of the crunch.
That part was so funny.
And it's holding it on the tip, and it's kind of like shifting her into focus. And I thought I loved that sort of shot.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff as well, and also it's like it just deals with attention so well, and also because it gets resolved in so many different ways, and it's either like super tense or it's really funny.
Yeah,
it doesn't deflate the tension all the time, but it does it doesn't. You don't know how a situation's going to deflate. You don't know if like, oh, is this an accusation or is this a joke? Is this a joke? Is this an accusation? Like it jumps back and forward. But yeah. Is there anything you want to mention before we go into the story or the plot of this? Well, we should say the actors' performances, actually.
What performances?
Let's just like, well, I can't talk about the actors' performances without talking about the story.
Exactly.
I mean, let's just get into it.
Mm-hmm. Again, spoiler warning.
We've given so many. So if you're not prepared at this point, you're a fool.
Well, if you're still listening at this point, then you've already ruined some of the film for yourself.
But very much this is a film of 3x. The last, it's not even a third, but you know what I mean. The last stage of this film,
the last 10 minutes,
it changes drastically,
and I love it.
Of course, Mark loves it for particular reasons.
Loved it,
but and it's something that apparently a lot of people have been criticizing because
I can see it.
First two parts of this are about a captor, and it's a psychological thriller. With something obviously that's happened outside.
The whole thing is, you say captor, but the whole thing that I was getting at, is he a captor? I mean, like the thing with John Goodman's character, John Greatman.
Yeah.
Like my approach to his character changed so much. I mean, he starts out very imposing, sure, because
he's socially very off. That's the thing, though.
Because Michelle wakes up. Chained. She's been in an accident, fair enough. You don't know how the circumstances of this accident, so she wakes up chained, but she's got an IV, she's got her leg like set, and her wounds cleaned. So obviously we don't know why she's there, but she's being looked after.
She's obviously in shock to a degree.
And then when John Goodman appears, like when Howard appears, he's very imposing, mainly because of his size. That works for the film. I mean,
he's a physical.
He's a physical imposing threat. I mean, if it was like John Gallagher Jr. that was the Howard, wouldn't work the same. Even if the performance was great, it's the size of him that makes him so imposing. And his gruff demeanor. But he also seems kind of genuine.
Amiable.
The idea is, she's been in an accident, he saved her, but they're locked in a bunker because there's been some sort of unknown attack outside.
Well, you don't know about the validity of that, but that's the story.
So it starts out with when John Goodman's coming in, you're like, okay, so he's genuinely just an alright guy. He's a bit of a conspiracy nut and all that. But, he's a conspiracy nut.
It's a stylish man.
But he's been done a nice thing, and he's saved this girl and brought her into his bunker because something terrible's happened. And I felt like that for quite a while. Like I felt like he's
just a bit unhinged.
Yeah, he's just a bit unhinged, and he has brought a girl in.
And from what you know, his wife and his daughter left him, which obviously has left him with kind of issues.
Yeah.
And it's like you said. So he's a bit.
But I quite liked him to begin with in the start of that. Sorry, but back to what you were saying about
which part?
Well, no, you started talking about the characters and how you found John Goodman very
John Goodman I thought was very imposing, but he was honest about almost everything. Almost everything. There was the key details, obviously, that he wasn't honest about, to do with who his daughter was and the identity and things. And you kind of found out that
he didn't have a daughter.
He might. I think he did have a daughter, and he had the wedding band. He did have a daughter. He did have a wife, even though he could just buy a wedding band. I think once she went,
he needed
someone to fill the void, and I think but it's open to interpretation. Same with the way he feels towards Michelle is a daughter thing, which is what I think, because it's heavily emphasized, but it could also be a kind of sexual thing. You don't know.
The thing that changed it for me was
when he came up when he shaved the beard.
After he shaved.
That's exactly.
He's extremely gruff, and he's wearing like loose jeans, horrible shirt, like the workman's clothes. Then after Emmett's taken out of the picture, he comes in. He's smart. He's got a tidy, clean shirt on. He's clean shaven, and he looks terrifying.
I just love how all that really. Well, it's not really. Fair enough. It's not subtle stuff, but where subtle stuff is terrifying, or it just puts instant on edge. Like, oh no.
But part of me was also like, maybe that is just because he's done this thing that she's seen as quite traumatic. It's to almost humanize him a bit, make him seem it's because the way he came with the ice cream as well, it's almost like a fatherly figure to a degree. So that's the thing, but that's what I like. It's ambiguous.
I suppose, because to me he's talking about his daughter. Like, he says his daughter always liked ice cream before. Lola liked it in a bowl because it goes to mess and all that. And to me, he's just talking about the girl he kidnapped. To me, he never had a family. But
that's the thing, you don't like. That's what's so good about it.
That is. I suppose that element of it isn't necessary, because it ends up being the motivation for why he's doing this. But to me, like, he didn't have a family, he wanted one, so he took. Like, I'm not necessarily saying it's a sexual captive thing. But there's definitely something uncomfortable. Obviously, he's abducted a girl. But there's something uncomfortable about the relationship between them. Because it is, like you said, almost fatherly.
And it's also kind of, there's key points. You kind of felt like Emmett was just an extra character for a while, but there are key things he brings to it in terms of how they explore that girl that came before, or how, or even just being able to have someone that she could open up with, and you could understand more about her character,
and also
key
like
details about her past,
and also like his perceptions of Howard as well.
Exactly.
How he came and and stuff.
I found Emmett was really important because he brought validity to Howard's claims. So if he was in the same situation, if he had been in another crash and Howard had brought him in, they both knew nothing about what was going on. The dynamic would have been completely different. Because you've just got Howard saying, "Oh no,
it's one word against the other."
Like, "Oh no, there's like everything's gone wrong out there. If you go out there, you'll die. You're safe in here with me." But Emmett, there's like
he can. He's like the element of grey, because you've got like this black and white thing. And Emmett just
blurs the lines.
As well as that. It's not just validity to his claims; it's also validity to her accusations later on.
Of course.
He's like the reinforcement to whatever the idea is that you're following.
Especially when the idea,
exactly,
the girl,
blurring the lines.
Exactly.
That's Brittany. That's
exactly. And it was the film is the way it used tension through all of these moments. And the characters were just. It's good because it was so focused on them. And then obviously it hits the third act where
everything just gets amazing.
Everything goes mental, where she escapes. She does escape. She and I like the fact that John Goodman became the literal monster.
He is the monster because they've got the acid that dissolves.
How horrifying is it when you see Emmett's body? Like, oh my god,
that's just like a shocking point. Because it's like you hardly seen like anything, but then you get the flashes. And you're like, and it just ramps.
The camera just pans past it. And just see him like stuffed into this trunk. And it's just that's grim. So grim. But
and also it goes like full shining. When she's in the van.
But
she the knife coming in.
She doesn't even have like a moment to register the horrible things that he said. It's just sort of, it's all frantic. But
it's just all confirmations, you know.
But the actual scene where Emmett gets shot as well, that's so well handled, and like the noise from the gunshot, because that's what a gunshot would do in close proximity like that, and the ringing in the ears, the whole tinnitus stuff,
and then the view of the camera looking across the blood splatter.
But the camera goes very shaky and almost distorted because. This gun's just gone off in her face, in Michelle's face, and you're sucked right into that. You don't see anything apart from a little spatter of blood, but it's still horrific.
You feel it,
and that's what Hitchcock did so well. You don't need to see it to
it's the illusion of it.
Because the use of sound in this is just fantastic, especially like also when you remember back like her cell door essentially. The sound of that, you know.
Oh, it's imposing. It's a thud. But even he mentions that though.
The sounds going, above their heads and stuff, trying to work out what that was. Was that a car?
Same with Emmett. What Emmett said about the door. What was it? He says something like, "You've got a much less." At
least you've got a door.
Yeah, he said, "At least you've got a door, a much less friendly one, or whatever it is." But it's something along those lines. But no, it's. And that third act, where obviously it's almost this ridiculous thing where he was joking about conspiracy and stuff, and it's true.
I love it. It's an alien invasion.
It's an alien invasion.
That was instant like hashtag after it. It's like Mark hashtag Howard was right.
Hashtag Howard was right.
But
when she comes out, she there's these noises going on, so she stands up on a car to look over the field of barley or field of corn, whatever it is. You just see this alien creature floating in the distance. She's just like, oh, come on.
It's when she just says it herself. It's like, really? How can it keep going? And it is just But this is where a lot of people had this issue with it, where she escapes, and you could have finished the film with her escaping and just standing there.
And because like there's validity added to it when she's trying to escape.
Yeah.
And the woman turns up. There's clearly something not right out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not Emmett being a bit crazy and Howard being completely crazy. There is something happening.
Yeah.
You don't know what. I mean, it could just be a chemical attack. But she does say, it only touched me a little bit. That's the thing that I heard.
Yeah.
And instantly I was thinking, because again, they were so secret leading up to it.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what it was. We didn't know if it was something completely different, if it was not going to be supernatural or alien or anything, or if it was going to be, could have been just Clover.
Just chemical. Yeah.
Well, no, it could have been Clover.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, it barely touched me. Mine instantly went to Clover's little baby things.
Baby thing, the ones that cause your head to explode.
Yeah. So
remember that scene.
Yeah, my immediate reaction was, "Oh, so it is. That's cool. So it is Clover. That's nice."
Yeah,
like, because she said it barely touched me. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then she goes. Then she dies. Then she goes mad, and then she dies.
Yeah.
So obviously there is something not quite right going on out there.
Yeah.
But then the actual reveal comes, and you're just like, well, I was like, yes.
And it's one.
That is amazing.
And it's one situation after another for about 10 minutes of how can this keep going?
Yeah.
Really interesting creature design as well.
Yeah.
Original creature.
It was it kind of reminded me of War of the Worlds with the whole
the tentacles.
And the whole like sucking into the thing, but it being
especially
like a mouth rather than like a beam up or whatever.
Also like the mouth inside the mouth.
Yeah.
And that opened up and then all the teeth. You're like, ooh.
But the
gorgeous.
And it just like bites on the visor of the mask and rips off. Like, it's so well done.
And they did a really good balance between having a character who just keeps overcoming stuff, but still keeping her human and keeping her very much. It's not, you know what I mean. It's not unrealistic. It is unrealistic, but you know what I mean.
Not Mary Sue.
Yeah, exactly. And it's done in a very good way.
Especially at the start when she works out, you know, even just trying to get her phone and stuff, you know.
How so let me ask you this. How necessary do you feel that final act is? Do you think it's vital to the overall story?
No, not at all. Completely unnecessary, but unbelievably glorious and unexpected.
Yes.
The problem with it for me is, you know, it's building to something, but it could have been anything. So when the ending comes, it's a twist, and it's completely unexpected, and it completely takes you like, oh. But when you think about it, I mean, what else were they going to do? There's not much else that could have been. You could have, like you said, just had her get out and then not know what happens. But then there's literally no closure to that, and after such a traumatic, tense experience, then there's no payoff really. That's kind of what I felt about The Room. There was too much of that. I mean, I thought The Room would have been stronger if there was
maybe a bit more in Room.
Not necessarily more in Room, just less outside of Room.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's one of its strengths as a film, and it's great for it.
Yeah.
It's about overcoming the trauma. At the end of it. It's a very different type of film from what you think going in.
Yeah, so it's there's kind of a bit of a comparison you can make with this.
So it's even nice when it was just like, you know, she's looking at the skyline and just instantly thinking Room, you know, just the blue skies. But I loved all those little things, you know, when she pulls that back. And
you see the scrape of the sand, and she pulls back the shutter and says help scratch on the inside.
Exactly. So, and how did you feel? How did you feel much the same about that third act? Or?
Yeah, I loved it. Just when you just for someone that's always 50-50, and even when she's outside, it goes 50-50, and then it just goes balls to the wall.
There's questions all the time. Yeah, exactly.
And I like that Howard was right.
Yeah. As horrible a person as he was by the end, he was right. And it's kind of tongue-in-cheek in the way it's kind of dealt with. Like you said, by the way she gets on top of the roof, it's like, oh, come on. And there's so many desperation moments, intense moments.
And maybe she overcome that a bit quickly. Yeah. Well, it was funny because like as soon as like in that opening,
where you see the Glencavullin bottle,
there's the big focus on the whiskey bottle, and I was like, that's going to come up somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Again, like it's the thriller puzzle. You have to figure out how everything will come into play.
So there's a reason they're focusing on that Glencavullin bottle.
But what
about yourself, Craig? How did you feel about the?
This is the thing. When I was first seeing it, I thought, okay, the score makes sense to me now. When this like the music thing kind of clicked early on, I read once I finished the end of this, I couldn't get out of my head like how this overall worked because. Do you know?
Just want to find the connections.
Well, I'm trying to find themes and connections because that's how my brain works, and I did really enjoy it. It was really cheesy, but part of me was like, "This is great." But I read I went online and read different articles for an hour, people's essays and things like that, because loads of essays and things have come out on this, and it's really interesting. And I've also found stuff that came up, like I've actually got a couple of interview quotes here and things to do from Trachtenberg, but a lot of criticism to the criticism that there has been towards this film, even though it's getting generally getting really good praise, has been to that last act where people said, oh, the film was ridiculous. But a common thing is, if this film ended with her just getting out, she hasn't achieved anything other than escaping circumstances that were imposed on her. She hasn't made a choice. She's just reacted.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you know like one of the idea or the influence behind both Cloverfields is 9/11.
Yeah.
The original Cloverfield was experiencing 9/11, and this is the way America reacted to the idea of 9/11. It's about the paranoia and the feeling of, fear and imposing that was put on. But more so is the idea of how people deal with, same way with Room, it's how people deal with abuse.
Yeah.
Because she herself says, like, one of the key conversations she has is with Emmett, which is she is a victim of abuse. She hints to her father being an abusive figure, and this is her in a similar environment again, but the only difference is she's been through it already.
Yeah.
And this is this is the situation about her trying to come to terms with it. And it's true, because Howard's character is imposing. He removes choice from her all the way through the film because he tells her how to feel.
Yeah.
Howard doesn't say, when she's talking and she smiles at Emmett, he says she doesn't find you funny.
Yeah.
And that repeatedly happens through the film.
Little touch drives him mental.
Yeah, exactly. And then when he shoots Emmett, it's nothing. It's not. It's no choice. It's removing. And what he says to her is like, "You hurt him. This is what." And he's talking to her saying, "This is what you should think."
He would have hurt us.
Yeah, exactly. You should be grateful. You should. It's all these things where he's saying you should or you are.
Yeah.
Or you won't. He's speaking for her.
Yeah.
And she's been in the situation before, and even though she resists and she tries to do stuff, she never fully has the choice. It's a reaction. And there's a quote I've got here from Trachtenberg where he says, "I wanted to make sure Michelle's arc wasn't finished until the very last moments. That it didn't feel like she'd a complete story and then something else happened. It felt like when she gets out, now what's she going to do?"
Yeah.
Which is the thing in life. Whenever you finish something, you still have to do more. It isn't going into the sunset and everything's going to be okay. In fact, things are going to be potentially worse. You have to be ready to face it, and that's the theme of the movie for me. Because
I agree.
The whole thing is, if she gets out of the situation and she just stands there and it's ready to continue, it's a slasher film. It's her in this position where she's gotten up a thing and she's escaped it, because all she's ever done is run away. She says that, and at the end of the film she's given one choice. And I remember thinking, this is quite cheesy. Am I gonna fight? But it's not. It's the only time in the film she's chosen not to run away. She's
heading towards.
She's been put into a situation which is absolutely ridiculous and thematically may seem completely different from everything else, but it's actually addressing everything that came before and has given her the only chance she's had to make a choice to directly confront it. And so what seems thematically different from everything that came before and has a lot of ridiculous explosions and mental stuff
and fantasticness
is it's the only time in the film that fully and like properly addresses her attitude to everything that's came before. She started off the film running away from a fight and an argument, and she ended the film by confronting the most ridiculous, over-the-top thing that she could possibly face. She ran away from something that seems very small and challenged something that is mental.
But that final...
Not really, it's Cloverfield.
But that final scene, though, of her just driving towards the city, and then there's the flash of lightning, and that gigantic creature is just
cool.
But then also
jaw-dropping.
The moment of hesitation as well, when she goes quite through onto the straight and then swerves around.
It's because you kind of think, oh, she's just gonna. Oh no, there we go. And I thought it's almost like an Independence Day style ending, but it's bizarre because it does when you think about it thematically and how the characters' arc's gone, it does work.
It's quite a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. It's
in terms of closure.
Yeah, in terms of character development.
Yeah.
It's gone full circle.
Yeah.
But when you look at it on the surface, because of the superficial elements of it, of how, or not superficial, but you know what I mean, like how everything aesthetically is been addressed.
Yeah.
Like, it's not this closed room psychological thriller. This is the threat. It's aliens.
Yeah.
But it's gone full circle.
Yeah.
And it works really well when you think about it in
Really
that kind of
well,
way.
yeah.
But then if you're a casual cinema goer, you're going to be like, what are there, aliens? That's not John Goodman.
I know, because you sort of couldn't like win with like that sort of thing, because you would have had like fans of like Cloverfield coming in, it's like, where's the aliens, where's the destruction, and that sort of thing. And
people will write off as a lazy link, not a lazy connection to the last film with it being aliens.
But I loved it. It was how it was so different.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But when you think of it in terms of, it's the same way we said with Hail Caesar. It's the way you think of the film. Hail Caesar, like you said, may seem like it's all over the place story-wise, but it's about a day in this guy's life and how he has to address all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of love in that.
And we've followed this character, Michelle, from the start of the situation to the start of another entirely different journey, and we've seen her transition and how she deals with those situations.
Yeah.
We've seen her deal with everything from a fight to an alien invasion in the course
to making a custom like hazmat suit of rubber duck.
Out of a rubber duck shower curtain.
And duct tape.
So on that basis, it actually works really well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I rambled for a very long time there.
Do you have any favourite moments?
When I think about it, there's a lot of little moments in it I really enjoyed, but
the table scene. Playing games and stuff.
Well, there
was a lot of table scenes. There was that games and
the montage and stuff. The
montage is great.
One of
the moments, and all getting on, and it's like,
one of the moments that really jarred me was when he pulled out the acid and he went, "What are you two up to?"
Yeah,
because there's been at least 2 situations before where it turned out to be a joke, where you thought it was an accusation, and then this one.
I got the Santa Claus thing so quick.
Same,
like,
me and Steph were the same. We were just like Santa Claus, but. That scene was the tensest for me. It was most tense.
The acid scene.
Yeah. Just because it had been 2 joke accusations before, and you just thought this was going to be. I thought he was going to ask them to clean the toilet, like as in it was going to get rid of the waste.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking.
The waste that was building up.
Where does all the poop go?
But yeah,
and also that was also like one of the biggest things with like Goodman's performance though was the breathing. And how much he conveyed
Was it his actual breathing? Is he just really unhealthy? I said this to Steph, or did he put on a lot of this?
He can't be that healthy. I mean, he is fairly substantial in size.
Yeah.
And that does...
Remember though, he has been losing weight.
He lost a lot of weight for Monuments
Men.
He
lost a lot of weight for Monuments Men.
But I mean, like, that's what I was saying though. I mean, part of the imposing of his character was his size, so he probably put it back on for the role.
It created a lot of pauses that were really
but just the breathing and the staring. Fantastic.
Goodman.
Such a strong performance.
Goodman.
Great man.
Great man.
John, great man.
Yeah. What about you guys? Standout scenes?
There's a lot of like cinematic things. I saw like when like Emmett and Michelle are just talking, and there's the contrast between like their rooms.
Yeah.
She's got the warmth and he's got like the cold dark.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that until you mentioned it. That was really interesting.
That's a typical Craig sappy moment where I get sucked in.
They're like
character development and sappy moments.
There's a few bits that like I absolutely adored. I mean, I've already mentioned about
John Goodman dancing.
Yeah, John Goodman dancing was good. No, I've already mentioned about the intro, the way that was set up, and the crash, and the
I didn't think about that being
credit.
Hitchcocky, but that's a great.
I loved all that. When he came through clean shaven, that was one of the
you're just like, oh no,
because you just like the way he just appears after he's just murdered someone. He's like he comes through. It's all right. I've cleaned everything up, and like he including himself, and you're just
it's like a honey I'm home sort of thing. You're like, whoa.
Never has Gillette seemed so ominous.
Completely psychological and nightmarish without doing or saying anything. There's nothing to that. Then I liked when after he'd fallen in the acid and the monster Goodman was coming after that was cool. But no, the best bits for me. No, not the best. It's the meat of the film was set in the bunker, but the reveal of the smaller alien and the style of that, I just thought that was absolutely fantastic.
Did you get a clear look at it, particularly? Yeah,
it's kind
I was probably averting my eyes.
Like a metallic armadillo.
Kind of like a moly sort of thing, like
a mouth eye thing.
Yeah, kind of like an anteater-y head, but like it had scales that were kind of metallic-y and shiny and made it blend in a lot.
Yeah.
But just the way it came out and started investigating the car, just the creature design was superb.
So tense as well.
I loved it.
Even though it's such a small part of the film, the amount of work that must have just gone.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The one thing that did ruin it slightly for me, though, was the trailer.
Yeah.
Like everything in the trailer. I mean, the way the trailer was done was great. You know, it's
First
all
or
happy.
second trailer.
Yeah.
I don't think I only watched the first one, but
Second trailer revealed more.
it's all happy with the jukebox, but it's silent, and then it starts with when she smashes the glass into his head and tries to escape, and then ends with her wanting to go outside. Like that was great.
Yeah.
There must have been the second trailer because that was
With the woman.
That was the first trailer.
Second trailer, they address it's a woman outside the window.
Okay, no,
Like in the second trailer, it says, "Oh, there's a woman," and it's like, "Don't talk to her," or whatever.
the bit that ruined it for me was seeing the house and then the light coming from behind the house.
Oh, so I never saw that.
Yeah.
It's like there's something out there, or whatever it is, and then it changes to the house with this blue light going behind it. So I'm just like, that kind of did ruin it for me.
Extraterrestrial.
Yeah, it's so.
These little
What's the film? Close Encounters.
Close Encounters.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was there was a trailer that actually addressed it was a woman outside the window. It didn't ruin it, but you know what I mean. I was like, oh, I know what we're going to see on the other side of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I'm
But I
glad
didn't see
was-
that house one. But again, that's stuff you straight away you'd be like, oh well, they get outside the bunker and there's going to be more out there. You know, I think people don't really. I think when they're doing the film cuts, they don't think people will dissect the same level. Well, now that we can get
some
access to these
insane level.
Yeah.
Especially when folk go frame by frame by frame.
breakdowns and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to how well Star Wars trailers were done, because there's nothing revealed in that untoward. I mean, you know, that was one of the
did
best.
everything it needed to.
Yeah, it was great film debut.
Utterly stunning performances, direction, cinematography, just aliens.
Yeah.
Aliens set it for Mark.
I still want to see like more examples like this. You know, like these directors. You know, they aren't given like $200 million. You know?
That's what I was saying. You should watch VHS.
I've seen VHS.
You've seen VHS.
I've seen VHS.
There's only like 2 or 3 of them are really, really good. But like I was saying,
I like all but one.
Yeah.
The travelers in hotel.
Yeah,
thing.
that's the worst one. That's the worst one. It's got some of the creepiest bits in it, but that is the worst one. But yeah, it's I think it's 5 student horror directors were approached, given some money to make a low budget horror film, sort of 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and then they're all put together into
an anthology.
Into an anthology. And then there's an overarching story
about the VHS tapes.
About why they're there, but that's really, really good example.
I've seen 2, but I've heard 2's really but 2's better.
Yes, I think there's a 3rd one as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe not released yet.
That first one was. I've never seen a woman with just by default a scarier face than in that first one.
Yeah.
So Irv needs to watch that.
And how does this compare to like another sort of alienish film? But I haven't seen it. Monster. When you think of, is it at all sort of similar in this style? That this was like both were very minimal in sort of budget.
Comparing it to what? Sorry,
Monster.
Oh, Monsters.
Sorry.
Totally very different, but they're both very stylish films.
Very stylish, very good.
I think Monsters is better.
I haven't actually seen Monsters yet, but I need to watch
you've got it.
I've got to see it. Yeah, Irv lent it, so I have to watch that.
But yeah, I just love stuff like this. It's great.
Another thing, in the same respect, watch Europa Report. That is that was something I wanted to mention earlier. Actually, hidden gem of Netflix. Europa Report.
Straight to Netflix, or
I
I
think it came out.
I think it did come out, but it's a few years old now. But like, it's one of those films that
balls to the wall sci-fi.
Yeah, it's proper sci-fi. It's gloriously proper.
It's not like a horror film or a tense horror-ish sort of film.
It's kind of got some tense bits in it. But my point is, there's no hand holding. There's no like easing into it. There's no like big flashy like
has it been Hollywoodized?
Yeah, it's completely like independent style. But it's played on Netflix where people see it and don't understand it or get bored because they don't give it enough time.
And they give it 1 star.
They give it 1 star and just
then Mark goes mental.
It just disappears.
Yeah.
Well, like Noah's got 1 star on Netflix. I thought it was fantastic, but it's just another day. Netflix rage another day. But because the Europa Report wasn't a substantial release, and it's got really low ranking on Netflix, never appears. I can't remember how I found
how's
it.
How's its Metacritic?
I don't know.
That'd be an interesting
I will
one.
look it up.
But no, these sort of gems, like, that's where the Netflix kind of system of the star ratings and people not really giving stuff a chance.
Yeah. It's a shame because it's a two-way sword, because
people can rate something quarter of a way into a film.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like it's just the
our
way.
first episode or something.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's
78.
70. So yeah, so it's got that's high. That's considering film scales, unlike games or anything like that. They use the whole 100%. That's a good score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult watch by any means, but it is a slow watch, and it's
You got to look through the reads in it. It's one of those things you've got to read.
So very quickly, the idea is it's a manned mission to Europa, which is one of the moons of Jupiter. It's an ice moon, but they'd sent probes to it previously and discovered that there's actually volcanic activity going on underneath, and there's oceans below the ice, and there's high chances and probability of like microscopic life. But because it's through the ice, the probes can't collect it, so they need a manned mission to actually go and investigate this. And 20 odd months into the mission, before they've even reached Europa, like all contact is lost with Earth. So it's kind of taken the style of a documentary.
Yeah.
They're analysing what happened to the Europa, so they're looking at the footage leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then after that, you get the information about what actually happened.
Yeah.
So, like, the style is really interesting. The way it's done.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch, definitely.
I'll definitely give it a go.
It's along the same lines you're saying in like style, I suppose, of Cloverfield and Monsters. It's just that kind of.
It's almost like a kind of true.
Yeah. It's very realistic. Like, and that's what I mean by the science. Like, it's a proper sci-fi film.
It's grounded in storytelling in the way it's working. Yeah, maybe not obviously in like realism, but it's grounded in the way that it's told.
Yeah.
No, I'll definitely give that a watch.
How shall we rate Cloverfield?
Overwhelmed.
Same. It's funny. It just seems to be the running theme, apart from
I'm
Nebula.
trying to be harsh with my things going forward, because I was the guy that was like overwhelmed. Where's my overwhelmed gun? Infinite ammo. So I'm struggling because
either way.
every time I try, and it's one of those films that at the time I was like, I really enjoyed it. It was good, but I'm not sure if it moved me. But you know what? But then the more I go back and
think about your thematic tirade there, Craig.
I know,
you loved
exactly. I have to every time.
All those articles you looked at.
Yeah, you researched this for hours afterwards.
I know.
You also have to consider the fact of the way you went into the film as well.
Yeah.
So the marketing and the limited release, well, the slow release, the quick release of it, kind of features into how that.
I'll give it
affects
overwhelmed then.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will. Peer pressure. Just because, like I said, it's a film you
Also
can
as well,
read into. I like films
And
you can
also
read
when
into.
we're thinking about this sort of slate of this year, this is going to be one that you'll remember.
Yeah.
This is the ex machina of this year, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Michael Shannon baby.
Yeah,
one. I hope that's good.
Midnight special.
Yeah,
That's getting a lot of good reviews.
Looks really good.
On the
April looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Got that
plus, it's got mental Michael
Eye in
Shannon.
the sky.
Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah.
Eddie the
Eddie Eagle.
I'd say Cloverfield is probably my favorite film of the year.
Ooh. Just for that last 10 minutes.
I think it's right now. It's between that and Room, followed by Rocky. Creed. No, well, I don't want to call it what thing you called it. What was called
Rocky
at the
Seven.
Oscars.
No.
What
was it called?
I'll
The
say
Oscars?
outside of the podcast.
Okay.
But
Not safe for work.
but no, that seems like a good point to end on. Anything else? I've got anything else to say.
Batman vs Superman next week in Daredevil.
Yeah, Batman vs Superman and Daredevil next week. Yeah.
It's a good superhero roundup
Yeah.
on Marvel and the DC side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how this goes.
So yeah, we'll end it on that. # Howard was right.